Hey everyone, we are live and we have Jessica Miller on the line. You can see her pretty picture there. Unfortunately, she has some crazy weather that's affecting her ability to turn her camera on. So I promise you she's there behind the scenes. Hi, Jessica.
Hi. And yes, I promise I am here, but I'm buried under 4 feet of snow. So
Oh
it's
my.
been quite a challenge to get any type of internet connection through my satellite here up in the mountains of Colorado. And as beautiful as it is, it's created some challenges for myself. So
I can totally imagine. I've been on vacation in Colorado when there's been that much snow, and it's beautiful and it's nice to be snowed in, except when you don't want to be snowed in.
yes, that's right. My poor parents are here from Arkansas and they're
Oh,
leaving
okay.
tomorrow. And they were like, should we leave today? I don't know. What's it going to be like? And I said, well, here, at least the plows are out. We're used to it. There's still a lot of snow, but they'll keep the roads clear for folks that need to travel. So.
That's yeah, I remember you telling me your parents from Arkansas. Where do they live again? I forget where you said they live.
They are in Conway, and then my brother's in
Oh,
Little
yeah.
Rock. So yeah, they're not too far from where you are.
Yeah, I was actually just in Conway last week for a meeting, and I'll be heading to Jonesboro next week for a meeting. So, yeah, I get that. It's about 4 or 5 hours from me, but I love getting to get that part of the state. It's a nice part of Arkansas. Well, we are here to talk about something special, and all week, as you've noticed, everyone out there, we've been having all of our speakers
Yeah.
on live for the Practice Management Symposium, February 16th. So we're very excited to have another one of our speakers today. We're going to have Jessica Miller, and she's going to talk to us about the challenges and the benefits of AI. And this is a term we know we use broadly because machine learning is just one of the things that AI that encompasses AI. So let's talk about that, Jessica. So what do people need to know really just to get all the chaos, the noise, the echoes out of there? What truly is AI technology in the way we use it in healthcare?
Awesome. And that's such a fantastic place to start because as we know, there's so many definitions that are out there floating around about artificial intelligence and what it means and what it can do. And really, I always give the official description. It's a development of computer systems that perform tasks that normally require human intelligence. And we have this in visual perception, like face recognition. We've got it in speech recognition, like Alexa and Siri. And now we're seeing its application in healthcare coming with generative technology, assistive technology, that machine learning technology. So all of those descriptors are just kind of these branches of artificial intelligence. So assistive AI, generative AI, they're all using that artificial intelligence to do tasks that humans can do. It's just what's that function? Is it providing that assistance like we're seeing in revenue cycle management companies that are taking on artificial intelligence applications? Or is it making more of those decisions that we're seeing come into practices that physicians get to make on the artificial intelligence side?
Exactly. So, and the whole point of, the new podcast that I started, the Healthcare Echoes, was really to discuss the echoes all around us. And we hear so much noise, so much like static out there, and we don't know where to turn sometimes for answers. And so when I went to the HIMSS conference in Chicago this last year, it was so eye-opening for me to actually meet with these experts who really talked about the history of AI going back to the 50s, the technology we use and how it's just everywhere. But we haven't really paid much attention to it in healthcare because everything we do in healthcare is so
Human biased, right?
yeah, humankind. Like it's humanity. It's person to person. You touch the patient to see what's wrong with them. And recently I heard on a live broadcast someone was saying that there is technology out there that some practices are using where it actually is like an AI kind of what do you call it, avatar that's calling patients that look like their physician.
Yeah.
And it's them telling them about their kind of appointments or just kind of that. And so there are some questions in using that technology and kind of taking people away from that personal kind of feel that they're actually talking to a real person. So some people have a problem with it. And there's all kinds of questions out there. But what we're going to do at this conference, Jessica, I want you to kind of let our audience know some of the highlights of your presentation, because we're not going to give it all away today, but we do want to give you some insight into what you'll be talking about and the focus of your presentation. So go ahead and let us know.
Yeah, and you and I, we've been talking about this for, gosh, it seems 2 or 3 years now. And when we were first having these conversations, like you said, there was so much resistance. Everybody was kind of afraid. What's this going to mean? Again, how are we going to use it? What are the implications for using it? You just touched a little bit about that security and safety. This technology is progressing almost faster than a lot of those restrictions and requirements and even the government can keep up with. So right now we're kind of in that Wild West phase where we get to do all of these things and we don't have a lot of barriers for innovation, which I think is a beautiful thing because that's going to allow us to see the ways that we can adapt the technology to really meet our needs without all of that oversight. Of course, we want to protect personal health information. We don't want these things floating off into the cloud. We don't want everybody having access. We don't want personal information getting into the hands of the artificial intelligence where there might be bias or misuse. And that's where those human counterparts are really still important as we're working in these early phases. And those are the things that I'm really going to be touching on is how did we get to this point? Where did this artificial intelligence come from? Where were we using it in other industries and how that can translate into healthcare? And then really looking at how we're already using it and those technologies that are improving practice efficiency and how we're really adding to the bottom line by taking away those non-value added tasks that your staff are doing. If it's manual entry intensive, if it's reading intensive, if it's, cognitive analysis intensive, but related to general descriptions and guidelines, those are all things that technology and computers can analyze for us at a much faster pace. And then humans can really focus their attention to those things that matter and having those patient interactions, having those face-to-face discussion with physicians on, correcting and addressing CDI issues or time management or focusing on human resources. Technology and artificial intelligence is really going to enable practices to, again, refocus on that patient care, refocus on developing cultures and communities and making their organizations really great places to work because they're using this technology to take that burden off of their staff. The things that, we've been struggling to keep up with since COVID hit, the backlog of all this charting and coding, billing and follow-up. Technology is really going to give us an advantage in bringing in those efficiencies through software applications that employ artificial intelligence, that take away those value-added tasks and really let your staff focus on providing that patient care and meeting those bottom line objectives. And so that's the gist of what I'm mostly going to talk about. I'm going to cover some of the applications that are out there, but I'm really excited on focusing, on what the next steps are for practices that are using this. What are your options for integration? How are you going to take your staff through these changes? Because of course, a lot of that resistance comes from this is going to replace me. And that's where I was mentioning before, this is that assistive technology, that generative technology. We're not a replacement tech because you can't take that human part out of healthcare. So we really have to find where the technology fits and bringing those efficiencies in.
I 100% agree. And, it's not like we don't see good technologies being used that can also be abused. For many years, it doesn't matter what technology is out there. When cell phones came out, it was kind of exciting. They kept evolving. Remember back in the day, we had the flip phones.
Oh, yeah.
And you take a picture at some point, and then all of a sudden you had all these apps, right? But as they evolved, so did the danger of using them in a negative way.
Right.
Nowadays, people are afraid of AI. They're afraid of things like what's happening with some people. There's that thing going out, the fraud. And even the scary part, of like people calling saying that their family member has been kidnapped and they needed to pay this money to get them ransom. Like that kind of stuff's scary. Like those are things that people actually are afraid of with AI technology or this way that you can pretend to be somebody you're not.
And that's information, that people can glean very easily from the internet, things that we're readily sharing. And there's where technology might also present an opportunity because it can search for and find those pitfalls. It isn't related to, information sharing beyond what's set up for the restrictions, because the way that robotic processes work and even API technologies, HL7, all of these transfers of data that we're already using to submit claims and get EOBs electronically, we have to make sure those same channels and thumbprints are put onto the artificial intelligence processes. And
Mhm.
thankfully, what a lot of these software companies and what I know we do at Medicodio is, we already partner or have, the databases and the applications that come with that. So, Microsoft being HIPAA compliant, 365, Google, Amazon, all of those
Mhm.
organizations individually seeking these certifications so that they can participate in the healthcare industry. Um, and that's exciting. But like you said, that can be scary too, because we give them all kinds of personal information
Mhm.
already. And so now, Amazon knows that you like to, order a certain type of sugar-free candy, and now it's going to have your health and it's going to associate that. And suddenly it's going to know you're diabetic, and here you're going to get all, you know,
Yeah.
advertisements. Yeah, and that's how it works. So, and that is just talking about, one of the negative or, ways
Yeah.
that we see it in that type of light. But imagine, if we want to put a positive spin on it,
Yes. Let's spin
that
it.
exactly, that is kind of a helpful tool, because that information can also be shared with your physician, and now they're going to have
Mhm.
information about your diet, your dietary restrictions, and all of that information can be matched. And so if you're looking at a product that doesn't meet, some of those health requirements, that type of thing can't be or wouldn't be suggested for you, or you could get a notice that like, hi, this might conflict with a medication you're currently on.
Yes.
All of
Yes.
these things can be benefits for the patients. It's really just about how we train individuals to use it, and how we embrace it ourselves, because like you said, of course we all got excited about cell phones. We put all of our information, all our pictures out there on Facebook, and then it was like, wait a minute, Facebook's stealing your photos to do things.
Yeah.
Well, what did you expect? Right. So, we're going to have to give up a little bit of that data, but we also have to recognize that some of those things can be beneficial for us. And, when you first got Siri and now she builds your grocery list and she can recommend certain items, and you think like, well,
Yeah.
actually, yeah, I do like that. And now I'm going to try it. So, it just takes society's change of mind on that. And really, it's a recognition of knowing that this technology has been here for so long. And so, just how do we use it in a positive way in the healthcare industry? Because again, you know, people get nervous about artificial intelligence, but they use Siri, they use Alexa, they use Google Maps, and all of that is based on artificial intelligence and data sharing.
100%. There's a lot of things that we do every day. I mean, I literally talk to my Google Home every day,
Yep.
asking
Mhm.
it to, give me a recipe for this, or what's the weather out today. Like we use it in so many other ways in our life that, why not think about the benefits of using it in healthcare? And we're on the reimbursement side. We deal more with the coding, the billing, the auditing, all that. And we do just like with anything else, you have coders and billers and auditors in healthcare. So we audit just regular charts. We're going to have to audit the AI too.
Mhm.
So we're
Well,
going to have to do that.
yeah, you made a really good point there about the decision making. We're asking our intelligence these questions because we're going to use it to make decisions. And so clinicians are going to do the same thing. Patients are going to figure out a way to do that. I mean, we're all guilty of going home from the doctor's office and being like, they said I had what? Googling it. And now suddenly you're the MD and you're the expert on it. And patients are going to figure that out. They're going to put that information into Chat GPT, and they're going to get, a whole write up of diet, medication requirements, the same information their physician could provide. And so you've really got to, you know, counter that with the physician explaining that this is a way you can use this technology to your benefit. But you also have to have the same discretion that you would when you go home and Google it.
100%. You made a good point about, physicians using it. And there could be some thoughts on that, but the way I think of it, if physicians and the way they work, I worked in practices most of my life, and sometimes they do when they're out of the room, they get on, they look at research articles, or maybe like a week down the road, they're going to be looking at some research paper another physician wrote, and just to get an idea, or they'll call another physician to get their opinion and say, this, I want to discuss this patient with you. A lot of that stuff can be, all of the information that they actually research and look up can be at their fingertips.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a nice way to think of, yeah, they're still going to give you their professional, clinical opinion on what needs to happen for you, because that's their trained opinion, but they'll have a really awesome way to get at their fingertips all this information
Mhm.
in a quick manner, so they can give you a diagnosis more efficiently, more streamlined, and you can get on the road to recovery, hopefully. So that's the way, in a positive way, it should work. In a perfect world, it should work. We hope that the way that they use it is going to still be with the patient as their first priority.
Right. And like you mentioned, from a practice management perspective, we're bringing efficiencies in for that physician because he can give more quality time to each patient because he can spend less time looking for those resources. So, he's in there doing his charting or documentation, kind of like how when we look up resources in for our CPT codes, there's a little CPT assist notation. Well, we're going to look at that, and if he's doing his documentation and within the EHR, they've built in some artificial intelligence where it can suggest relevant information. He doesn't have to spend extra time finding that. He has it at his fingertips. It can link up relevant diagnosis for, past visits, past history. I was reading today about patient consent forms. So we're utilizing generative AI in this new way. All of those save the physician time. And again, the focus can be on those patient-centered care. But it's really exciting too, because patients are going to benefit from this in seeing time savings, seeing cost savings. They're going to have an opportunity to tailor the way they want to receive care. Artificial intelligence helps a lot of patients overcome barriers to care. We've seen telehealth emerge in different ways. Like you mentioned, they're having a phone call with this artificial intelligence that looks exactly like their physician. They can interact in the same way. This can help people with certain social disorders or anxieties. It's really a beautiful thing to have this technology and have it be available, and to find new ways for practices to use it, to increase their bottom line and their patient satisfaction.
Right. And you mentioned a good point too, that, a lot of times they're going to get access to other information. Now, one of the things that we have felt for years that has been a big problem is communication. It's always one of the biggest things that we have, where some physicians don't have all the information they need to take care of a given patient because someone else did a test 2 weeks ago. They don't have access to it. The patient forgot about it. Right. And
Right.
so, they just duplicated another service. So the insurance company is like, we already covered this. And
Mhm.
so they
Mhm.
have a problem with overutilization, which is why we have more prior authorization requirements,
Yep.
because of overutilization. So maybe that could be a benefit
Yep.
potentially. Just
Yeah.
one of the things on my mind, like that. I think it could be used in a positive way for that, for instance. So some
Yes.
great things to think about for the future. So Jessica, I want to thank you for coming on. I know it's a crazy day where you're at with all the snow, but I thank you for coming on and taking the time. And I look forward to your presentation. I know everyone else does. So we're going to put the link to register in the show notes for everyone here in the comments. And if you have any questions for Jessica or myself, or you want to learn more about Medicodio, jump up over to medicodio.com and learn more about their amazing tools for coders, and even just for efficiency in your workflows. It's even if you don't code, every day, it's just a really great tool to utilize to have access to efficiency the way that they offer it. So thank you, Jessica. And there's any parting words and for our audience today?
Yeah. Thank you so much for the Metacodia plug. We are doing some really exciting things over there focused on coding and also clinical documentation improvement. So finding ways to educate your physicians and your coders, why what they're saying really matters. And this is important in artificial intelligence and machine learning as well, because data is that training book for all of that artificial intelligence. And if we don't have good data, we're not going to get good results. And when you're looking at natural language processing, what you're saying is what generates those code results. And that's why, if it's not
Yeah.
dictated, it wasn't done. And we've really got to stay on top of that as this artificial intelligence comes out as well, because we're going to start seeing, chat GPT generated templates, and physicians are going to get creative with copying, pasting those kinds of documentations, and coders are going to have to discern that technology from actual visit. So
Exactly.
exciting.
Yep.
Exciting.
Exciting stuff. Well, we will see you all at the Practice Management Symposium on February 16th, and it does offer 8 CEUs. It's a great way to get your leaders in, and also if you're not a leader, you're not a manager, it's still okay for you to attend because we know a lot of you may have aspirations of advancing your career in leadership. So it'll be a great way for you to learn how to be a leader. So thank you, everyone, and thank you, Jessica. Everyone, have a great afternoon, great day, and we'll see you next month.
Yeah, amazing topics, amazing speakers. See you in February. I can't wait.
See ya.
Bye.